All right, and welcome everyone to the Ginette Biro Podcast. I'm Ginette Biro, and thank you, as always, for joining me on the show. I have such an exciting topic to talk to you guys about today, and it is about the imprint theory or soul imprint theory. Now, one of the ladies that talks about this a lot in her research is Dolores Cannon. So if you guys have never heard of Dolores Cannon, she is a pioneer in past life regressions, or one of them, but I think anyone who has kind of studied that field would really say she is a significant player in the knowledge we have gained in past life regressions. She has taken people into past lives, even in between lives where people have spoken about their experience as a soul. She's taken people into past lives, not even on this planet, so in different star systems and galaxies, and in those has brought through a wealth of information, very out of the box information. So for some, it could really stretch their minds, but for others would have this deep resonance of truth. So it's very interesting work. And this idea of soul imprinting or imprint theory is something I've come across in my own work in talking with spirits and talking with my counsel. And so I thought it was really neat to come across it in her work as well, because she has so many books of documented information. So what am I talking about by the imprint theory or soul imprinting? Well, basically, a soul imprint, to understand the definition as per Ginette's idea, a soul imprint is basically a memory of an experience or an event that is imprinted on a soul coming to Earth. So what that means is that's not the soul's actual personal experience, but rather an imprint that is given to the soul before coming in, because it will give them reference as they move through their life. It's kind of like, even you could consider placing a transparency over top of the soul to give them a reference point. So let's go back into why this happens, okay? And let's go even further to souls coming into Earth life. So when we look at a baby that's born, we see a brand new little person, a fresh person, one that really doesn't know anything. They're not very useful on their own. They're reliant on their mother. They need help. But what we fail to often recognize is that within that, connected to that brand new little baby, is more often than not an old soul, a soul that has been to Earth many times over, that has come in and had some vast experiences and is here yet again to experience more. And so what happens with that old soul is, before they come into this Earth life, they will, like I saw in my NDE, go over and create a blueprint for this lifetime with their counsel based on the things they have learned and what they would like to further learn in this experience. So they will create certain juncture points of experiences, both good or bad, or let's not even say good or bad, some challenging and some very easily triumphant. And they will bring these in based on karmas they've had from before, inequalities, desires to try, whatever that may be. They bring that in and lay it in their blueprint. And what that does is, all of their past experiences give them reference points, things to pull from in order to make the decisions as they move through their life. So all of their experience as a soul beforehand, coming to Earth, the many different lifetimes, earthly lifetimes they've had, give them these subconscious connection points of how to choose how they're going to deal with what is happening. Okay, that's an old soul. That's why sometimes, some children that, when they start communicating, they start to ask these really deep questions, or they make these statements that you look at them and you're like, how could you ever know to ask that question? And again, that is a beautiful indicator of an old soul. And so there's many children coming in now as old souls, because they're coming in with more experience to help shift the planet in the direction we want to go. Now, without that background, though, if a soul comes in without that background, say a soul comes here and they're a brand new soul to Earth, they need some sort of reference point when they come into this planet, or else navigating this planet is very, very challenging. And what we have happening right now is there are a lot of souls coming in from other planets, other dimensions, other galaxies, if you will, coming in with a higher consciousness to help humanity grow and evolve. People that can come in to be in positions as change makers to really shift it in the direction it's going. This has been happening for the last many years, decades, pardon me, and we will continue to see this. Now, what's had to happen with a lot of those, though, that haven't had many earthly lives is they will, when making their blueprint, almost go through the different transparencies of other souls' experiences and borrow them or lay them down, almost like how you put a fake tattoo on, you put it on your skin and you wet it and then it transfers onto your skin. It's like that. They lay it on and they transfer it in to give them reference as they're moving through. Because if they didn't, they would be totally lost. And so when they're going through these references, they're really hoping that these pieces that they're pulling will help them to accomplish their task. And so they can kind of pull them from either like a library or maybe even like the Akashic Records, which is essentially the library of all things that have ever existed in their entirety. So they can kind of pull it from there. And so when they create this imprint, sometimes souls will have a memory of, or people on earth will have a memory of being a certain person in history, or a reincarnation of this person, or a reincarnation of that person. And in some cases, they very well are. A fragment of that existence at that time has come through to be embodied. That's not unheard of. As well as, though, at the same time, sometimes it's not a reincarnation, but rather a soul imprint, a borrowed imprint from that soul's experience given to this soul at this time. So they have reference and wisdom, compassion, understanding of certain situations to help them move forward here. So they may not be actually the real incarnation, but rather an imprinted incarnation of the energy of that being. And so you can't always really tell the difference, because everything, not only memories, but the emotions and everything that made up that lifetime is imprinted. So it doesn't really matter per se, but this is why sometimes it can be a little bit confusing for some people who are adamant that they are a person, but they don't have all the memories of that person or all the reference points, because they got a snippet of a soul imprint, versus others who can tell the story or multiple reference points of that particular person, is because they are more likely a full reincarnation. So I think this is really interesting, just for the sake of recognizing the multifacetedness that there is in our incarnations. So if you sometimes say have a dream of being a particular person in history or being with that person in history, it's kind of like, I guess the guidance from spirit in all of this is, it doesn't really matter if you are, or if you are imprinted, or you may just be given a memory of, because what's happening is it's all being brought to the forefront now for the purpose of moving forward with that information. You're being given that memory, that imprint, that story, so you can take from it to better create where you're going and how you're moving forward from this point. And I think that's a really good thing, because Spirit is saying, stop worrying about before and why and where it came from, and re-inhabiting what was, and create from the now. Because a lot of what's happening in the spiritual awakening world is there's a lot of people trying to find reference points of their consciousness and like a place to fit or an ownership of something. And Spirit really wants us to focus on the now. Because here's the thing, even if you were the embodiment of Joan of Arc, right? Say you are the reincarnation of Joan of Arc. You're not reincarnated now to repeat what Joan of Arc did there. You're reincarnated now to help in the now as the person you are now. So maybe you are Joanne Smith, and that's a random name. I don't know a Joanne Smith. Say you're Joanne Smith now, and you are a reincarnation of Joan of Arc. You are being asked as Joanne Smith now to make the changes. And what happens is, as Joanne Smith now, you may do something so revolutionary that 1,000 years from now, somebody else may come in with the imprint of Joanne Smith. But if Joanne Smith was so busy trying to re-embody Joan of Arc, she would miss out on being Joanne Smith. And so that's kind of a tangent way of me saying each and every one of you on the planet matters right now. With the information that you have right now, whether it comes from a soul imprint, whether it comes from a reincarnation, whether it comes from divine guidance from your spirit guides, your angels, or maybe you connect into higher civilizations and different galaxies and dimensional consciousness. The information coming to you now for the greater good of humanity is here for you to help humanity move forward. And so I bring all of this together to try and bring a focus on the changes that are happening right now. So remember, we talked about in June that the energy template, the time template was shifting and being changed. And as that is shifting and being changed, Spirit is hoping that each and every one of us will stand in the truth of who we are, the deep divine knowing of who we are in the now and in the present moment, because it's from that real center point. And I think I talked about this in my card readings too. It's from that real center point that we can create this really neat orbit of energy around each and every one of us that really helps pull towards us the things we need to make the changes and to, they're saying even more so, not make, but follow through on the changes being implemented right now. And it requires that everyone that is a part of humanity play their role, do their part, stand in their grounded nature to anchor these energies on the planet moving forward. And so when we're too caught up on the past or histories or the why or exactly how or explain this in detail, Spirit's like, don't worry about that. Worry about now, and not even worry, but just focus your intent on the now and start creating the future you're wanting in, excuse me, the now. So that was kind of their big message on the soul imprinting. Now, yeah, that's fair. They're telling me though, this is so funny. Spirit's like, this is how it is. And then they're like, but also this is how it is. And the reason why they're saying that too is for those where a specific history or story resonates so deeply with them, there's a value in that. And there's a value in understanding where it came from. So they're saying, please don't take this information as don't look into the past. They're saying you can look into the past, but don't get caught up in the past. That's what they're wanting to say. They're saying, bring whatever you need forward to find your embodiment in the now. Just don't get caught up in the past. Just like sometimes we get so caught up in the future of what could be, what should be, but it all creates anxiety because we're anticipating what we don't even really know yet. So they're saying that same idea applies to the past. So pull what you need from it, do the research of what you need from it, but recognize the you that is here in the right now is the one that has the most power to create change. And so I think that's really exciting and really quite beautiful. So I want to leave that with you guys. I hope that kind of helps inspire you to ponder some things. And if you want to learn a little bit more about some of that information of soul imprints, you can check out Dolores Cannon's book. It's called The 3 Waves of Volunteers and the New Earth. It's great. She talks about so many other things too, about Earth's evolution and the souls coming in, but she does touch on imprints. So that might be really informative for you. And I do want to say too, that this month I am hosting my Cosmic Consciousness Circle, and it's going to be all about the summer solstice, the energy of it, the significance of it, and we will experience some of the energy of it too. So if you're feeling drawn to that, to expand outside the box of comfort and traditional knowledge, join me there, and you can sign up for that at avalonspirit.com. It's definitely worth it. And also, if you guys are wanting to expand your own consciousness and your own gifts and journeys, check out my Lightworker Mentorship Circle. You can sign up for that class as well. It's very spirit guided, so it's a lot of fun. So I encourage that for you guys if you're feeling such a draw. And that's all I have for you this week. So enjoy pondering where your journey has come from and make the most of the now, you guys, because now completely matters. So I wish you all a beautiful week, and I will see you next week.